Hey, this is Chugg, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my philosophy on aiming and the ideal way to improve it, in my mind, as well as an exercise. Okay, well first I'll start with my credentials. I started playing FPS games on PC last year with Overwatch. At the time I just played Lucio and sort of spammed the places where they should be and didn't really have a good ability to aim and actually hit things. If I played hit scan, it was really terrible. It was very bad. If I hit something, it was by luck, and it just felt really, really bad. So because of that, I was motivated to improve. So I set about looking up different videos on YouTube and accumulating different perspectives and drills to actually improve. I applied it, and after 3 weeks, I got to a point where I was happy, and since then I've been accused of aim hacking a couple of times, so that always feels good. This happened very recently, so it's all fresh in my mind, so I know how it all happened, so I'll just try and share that with you today. So before I start, I'd like to encourage you to watch the whole video, so I may be rambling and ranting off some weird tangent, but I believe everything that I say is important to your understanding. If you just skip to some drill and you look at it, you'll think, oh, well this is like nothing special, and then you go away, you won't actually gain the benefit that you're seeking. Okay, so my philosophy is the following. When you hit an opponent, to actually, so pretend this spot is an opponent, to actually hit him, say I'm looking over here, two things have to happen. First, I have to see him. So, okay, I acknowledge he's here. I have to decide how I want to fire the shot. I have to find the shot. So this is the timing and the placement. So obviously, a stationary target, the timing doesn't matter, and the placement, well, he's not moving, so it doesn't matter. So I know that the shot is going to be here. The second thing that has to happen is that I have to move my mouse to the location and fire. Seems very simple. But the key insight is that these two stages are separate. So finding the shot is very dynamic. It's all about reading the opponent, their movements, the likelihood of their dodging, what happens if they jump, like that makes them suddenly more predictable. You can more reliably see where they will be and when they will be there. So if a guy is just running straight across here, I can put my crosshair here and just wait for him to come by and then fire, because I know that he's going to cross this point. So stage 1 is sort of taken care of. All to do at that point is to just click the button at the right time. The execution, stage 2. If you've got an opponent that's very complex in his dodging pattern and he's sort of hard to predict, then even if you think, okay, he's going to be here in 1 second's time, you could move your crosshair here, click the button perfectly, exactly as you planned, but he happened to dodge the other way, and then you miss. So the reason that you separate these two things is so that when you miss, you can identify what went wrong. So you can actually see, okay, well when, like, if he's dodging, I correctly moved to the spot and fired when I wanted to, that all went okay, but he dodged the other way. So it's an error in stage 1. But if a similar thing happens, and I predict correctly, oh, he dodges this way, but I flick too far, or I don't flick far enough, or I flick at the right spot but I fire before I actually move there, that's a failure of stage 2. That's an execution failure. And the point is, the key insight is that you can reduce execution failures from happening by practice and training and muscle memory and improving your own ability to move the mouse and click the button. So that's what my exercise will be designed to do. And yeah, and it's important to understand that if you do this, you're not suddenly going to be hitting every shot, because you still have to find the shot. That's a different skill on itself, like in itself. Now, this stage 1 and stage 2, I believe, is the way it is in every FPS game, or third-person shooters as well, of course. The only thing is that if you change the game or change the gun, so rail is a point and click, and rocket is a projectile with splash damage. It's very different. You have to, there's a lot of prediction in the rocket. So stage 1 of finding where to actually shoot and when to fire, that changes. But physically moving your mouse to the location that you want and firing, that doesn't change. That's consistent across the guns. In different games, you have different movement speeds, you have different movement capabilities. Maybe you've got crouch sliding and you've got some teleport, some blink. So deciding on where the shot will be, that will change. But physically moving your crosshair there won't change. Alright? So that's my philosophy, is that these two stages exist and that you can train the second stage. And that'll help you across all FPS games. So the ideal way that I think you should train, like, and I say ideal, I mean if you have someone whose life existence is to get good at aiming, they should do training for stage 2 of being, let's say over here, and then moving to the precise pixel and then firing. Train stage 2 so that they're muscle memory so they could do it instantly. Like, I can't do it that fast obviously, but I can be pretty quick and pretty and vaguely reliable. I haven't done any flick training recently, so it's not that good. But if that's a clutch, he's dead. Like you can hit that almost 100% of the, like basically 100% of the time. If it's a anarchy, a good player who does this training will be able to hit 100% of the time if they're just standing still. So if you can do pixel perfect flicks, first you train yourself to be not necessarily that good, but just to be able to hit any shot that you want with you know, strong reliability. Then you can start training stage 1, where it's just about reading the opponent's movements and really analysing how is he dodging, like when is he actually turning back, how frequently is he just on the spot, is he jumping at all? Because then when you miss, you know that your execution was fine because it's so strong, because you've trained it to be. And then you can just be like, oh okay, so he dodged this way at this situation at this timing. I'll note that for next time. You have more experience and you can get better at fixing stage 1 errors. And at the end of that you'll be a god at aiming. Obviously that's super ideal. That's not a realistic situation to actually expect someone to only train stage 2 and then stage 1. All I really mean for you to take away is that if you do some focused training on execution, that'll really help when you're actually in game trying to read opponents, because you're not missing because you're flicking too far. You're just missing because you're failing to predict correctly, you know? Okay, so what's the next thing I wanted to say? Okay, now I'll just go on to equipment. I think this is just an important side note to say. You should have the right equipment. You need a mousepad. Why do you need a mousepad? Why is the table not good enough? It's because the table surface is not consistent enough. There are minute imperfections that the sensor of your mouse can pick up on, and that can corrupt your execution. It's an external factor that impacts your execution, and that can be eliminated with, you know, a small purchase of however much it is in your particular currency. You need a good mouse, and by that I mean one with a good sensor, something that is consistent, preferably an optical sensor, and one that has the right size and shape for your particular hand and grip style. I recommend the YouTube channel Rocket Jump Ninja. He's very good, he's reviewed many mice, he goes in depth, and these are the things he prioritizes, and that's how I found my mouse. I used the Zowie FK2, and I've been happy with it ever since, so I really recommend that you check him out. If you search gaming mice on YouTube, you'll find him instantly, so it's not going to be hard to find him. Yeah. Okay, and so that's equipment, and well, you don't. Okay, well, another little point about equipment: you don't need the best equipment. It doesn't have to be top tier, just so long as it's not inhibiting you, because the laser sensor is improperly tracking on your, you know, wooden table or desk. Okay, next, sensitivity. Okay, so the thing about sensitivity is that the fact is, this is a fact, the lower your sensitivity is, the easier it is to be accurate. That's just the fact of the matter. Like like I have a low sense, and the target that I have to move, like I have to move my mouse from one point to another point. The physical target that my mouse has to move to is bigger because my sense is lower. If you have a high sense, you have to be so precise. Like this, like the difference between this and this is a fraction of, like, maybe it's like 2 millimeters. To flick from here to a 2 millimeter target on your, like, on your physical mousepad is really difficult. There are people who can do it, of course, sensitivity is always, it's always going to be about personal preference and what is best for you. But low sense means there's more tolerance for errors here. My target is physically bigger, so it's easier to be accurate. The cost of sensitivity, of course, is the mouse mobility. I can't. So if I'm my if my mouse is at the center of my playing space, and I just move it to the left as far as I can, it's basically off the pad here. So that's not even a 180. And you may think, well, that's useless. You need to be able to turn around. This mobility is crucial. Which, well, you can sort of like if you're fighting someone and I'm doing an LG battle, let's say LG battle, I get to here. If they move any more left, I have to lift my mouse. And isn't that just terrible? Well, no, it's not. If you get, like, there's a skill in terms of when you lift your mouse out of combat, when you're turning corners, you can develop the ability to move around the map and actually fight and be economic with the timing of when you actually lift and reposition your mouse. So yeah, with a low sense, if you're looking to lower it, I would recommend you just take the width of your mouse pad and you minus 3 to 4 centimeters and make that your 360. That's what I would use if I had your pad. My pad is 43 centimeters or 43.5 centimeters wide. That's the maximum area. Obviously, you can't use the very edge of your mouse pad. That's why I minus the 3 to 4 centimeters. So my 360 is 39. Especially for a game like Quake, mobility is key. This is actually a high sense for me. When I played Overwatch, I used 57 centimeter 360, and there are people that use much higher in CS:GO because that's very methodical. You know precisely, you pick the corners when you want, and you know they're going to be in front of you. You're not typically going to get flanked by the defenders. Okay, so a small word on mouse acceleration. That's an option in this game specifically. It's not something I've ever really gone into myself, so I'm not confident with. I haven't fiddled with it, so I don't know how to do it correctly, so I can't really recommend it. But there are strong benefits to be gained, just in principle. Like if you can retain the mobility but increase the precision in the actual LG battles, then that would be a great option for you if you can actually figure out the right sense and get used to it. So a final point about sensitivity: if you're new, well, not necessarily new, the goal of this exercise that I'm going to show you is to redo the fundamentals of how you aim. And if you're going to like restructure your aiming, like muscle memory, there's no sense to just sticking to your old sense by default. Really consider whether lowering it would be of benefit to you. So don't just stick to a 6 centimeter 360 because that's what you've been using the past 5 years of your FPS career. Really consider, like, a low sensitivity is easier to aim with, and you can, you don't have to be as precise. It's really actually fantastic. It's probably a big reason as to why I started hitting shots. Okay, now onto the actual exercise. So I'll only go over one, since this is like getting a bit deep into the video. I really wanted to explain my philosophy. So this one's typically like rail training. So what you do, hang on, I just have notes I wanted to say. So let's say Mega is the target, and more specifically this little point, this dot in the middle. So start somewhere, and then slowly, not necessarily this slowly, I'm really exaggerating, slowly flick to the point, fire, with 100% accuracy. And that's the real key. You're going for 100% accuracy. You want to start somewhere. You don't just start from the same place over and over again, because you're just learning the distance. So start around the place, and that was slightly off, so I missed. So maybe I have to go slower. And that was slightly wavy. You want a smooth motion. I slowed down at the end. That was, not clean. The point is that you have some ludicrously small target. You don't ever have to shoot anything this small in Quake, so that's one major thing. Okay. So that's the general idea. Is you want 100% accuracy. Like a lot of those shots, I would say I'd have to stop, slow down, recalibrate, and really hone in. Because what you're doing here is you're telling your body, you're taking it slow. You're trying to undo all of the panic, the overflick, trying to do this is bad. This is only training yourself to be worse at the game. Really take it slow, and like as you do this over time, you will be able to gain some speed and reliability. I was actually flicking much better earlier. I'm really disappointed with how bad it is now. So really focus in, like as if you're searching for an opponent, and suddenly you see him, and there he goes. Like that was fairly reasonable. That would have hit most of the characters. So the point of this is that you do it slowly, 100%, and you build up over time. You build up the muscle memory and the precision. If you look at my videos that I posted, I hit some rails. It's all because of this training, and that was, I don't know, I wasn't even paying attention. So I'm trying to talk and think at the same time. So really search for an opponent. Oh, suddenly you have to come over here and fire. Like, that was fairly accurate. It was fairly good and reasonably quick. But you do this for 10 minutes for your session. You do 3 sessions a day. You do it 7 days a week for 3 weeks. Your aim will be so much better, you won't even believe it. Unless you're already good aiming. You're good at aiming, and this is you're just checking it out for fun. But if you're someone who like can't hit a shot because your accuracy really is that low, you're just too panicky, you don't have any control over your mouse. The first step is to get control, is to develop the muscle memory to actually manipulate your mouse. Be mentally engaged, don't just be like, I'm here, and then like, oh okay, I hit it, cool. Really focus, like, I'm expecting an enemy to come here. Suddenly he's there. Like, don't go anywhere near that speed. I've been doing this for, well, I did it for 3 weeks a few months ago, and I've been doing it the past 2 days or so. And that was a horrible miss. But really take it slow. The higher standards you have on accuracy, the better you will be coming out of this. If you're like pixel perfect, if you want to be pixel perfect, and you'll be crawling like a snail until you are, and then slowly building up speed, and when you miss, you bring the speed back down a notch, and you really refine, you really get it back in, really go slow. That'll you'll be better at the end, much more so than everyone else who will just like try this for 5 minutes and then give up because it's boring. And that's the truth of it. It's boring, but this is what it takes to build muscle memory. This is what it takes to teach your body to perform a physical action. If you ask a guitar player how much he's practiced, how much total time he spent hitting a single, hitting the notes on a guitar before it actually sounded like music. It's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, it's the same with a mouse. You're just moving your mouse to the right amount of distance and then clicking the button. Like, that's the fundamental thing that you're actually achieving here. So yeah, try to simulate, like, once you get past the mundane, I'm actually trying to move it. Think about what your hand's actually doing. Like, are you only using your wrist? Like, this is my wrist range of motion. Could you be using more of your arm? Or vice versa, are you only using your arm? Could you be incorporating your wrist for like these small flicks to actually come in for you to the target? Is your arm at an ergonomic angle? You have the freedom to think about what's physically happening to your arm, and if there's some corrections you can make in your technique. If you want like to get more information on what good technique is, like you can look up on the internet. There's probably plenty of videos for it, but it should be fairly easy to see something that just doesn't look right. Like if you're contorting to flick, so if I'm flicking over here, contorting, like only using wrist aiming, my hand is in a very uncomfortable position. I should never be flicking like this. So for this flick, I really have to be using my arm for that. Okay. So yes, what else did I want to say about this? Oh, if you have trouble with sticking to this, like you try it once or twice, you really, what I'm saying is resonating with you, and you think, oh, this is really good, this is the way I want to do it, this sounds like this is the way for me to go. But you do it 2 sessions, and maybe there's some slight progress that you get excited about, but then you sort of like, you're sitting in queue, or you're sitting in the main menu, going to queue up for deathmatch or custom, you have that decision in front of you, you're just like, well, I kind of want to just like shoot stuff, because I'm getting a little bit better and I want to apply it. To have the discipline to stay in custom, to stay, you know, stay true to the path, and to go to the custom and really just take it slow and really put the time in and the effort, that'll really benefit you. So you see, okay, that one was a miss, but these are getting pretty accurate. I am flicking from the same spot, so maybe I'm just learning the distance, but I have been, you know, I'm trying to rekindle some of the good aim that I used to have, because in Quake Champions I've missed a lot of shots that I should have hit, and that always feels bad. Excuse me. So yeah, if you want to really, if you have trouble having the discipline to queue up for the customs over and over again, there's a way to fix the motivational, like the lack of motivation. Well, something that I use to help fix it, and that's to frame it in a certain way. So understand that okay, this is a little bit laborious, but bear with me. So understand that there are an infinite set of potential future universes, and in some of these universes you stick to the training. Like, the version of yourself goes on to really hone in and practice, and in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they were rigorous. They trained like 3 to 4 times a day, 10-minute sessions, and in 3 weeks they were hitting all these amazing rails. Like every clutch shot that they see, like if you're here and you're expecting someone to come from here, and then someone flies, like an Anarchy comes flying up here, and you get the flick shot because you recognize, oh, he's going to be here, and you flick precisely there and you hit him like right in the headshot, you know, showstopper, whatever it is. Like, that feels good. Like, that's the future version of yourself. Like, do you want to be that guy? Because you can. Like, all you have to do is follow the path that led that guy to that point. So what did he do? He just chose to do the custom and do the training. Like, it's just simple as that. And so you just follow that, and you take away the decision. It's not a decision. Do I want to do this or do that? Like, do I want to do deathmatch or do some boring training for 10 minutes? It's just like, well, the guy that I want to be, he would do the training, so I'm gonna do the training. So you sort of remove the decision from yourself. You sort of take away that point where you can deviate from the path of success. Alright? So I hope that's helpful. Is there anything else I want to say? Yes, okay, I want to come back and re-emphasize, this will only train your ability to execute. If you can't read the shots, you will still miss. Your accuracy will not improve. But the point is that your execution will not be the reason that you're missing. And you can reevaluate. And so, okay, one thing from me. Rockets are terrible. I hate rockets. Like, my rockets. My rockets, sorry. I don't mean the rockets. The rockets are a great weapon, but I can't use them. Because when an Anarchy comes around here, my instinct, my stage 1 reflex, is to lead direct hit, which is dumb. And I'm starting to try to lead the floor shot, but I'm always shooting it too, like, by the time if he comes out here, I shoot here, he's already at this point, so the rocket misses completely, and then he kills me, and it's really poor. But I'm flicking to where my instinct is telling me to flick, so all I have to do is fix my instinct. I have to, visualize an Anarchy coming here and fire here. I have to experience it over and over again. I need to, yeah, well, that's the thing. Experience it, and to do it more and be exposed to that situation to be able to handle it better. So yes, this will only train stage 2 execution, and that's the important thing to realize. So once you have good execution, you can then go about really reliably exploring the stage 1 areas that you're making. Okay, so now I'll just mention that I'm going to post some videos soon, one for each of the main guns, where I talk more about how, well, tricks to aim with them better, to actually land the shots, some stage 1 fixes to actually make it easier for yourself, as well as some more training exercises that may be good for you. I think I should end it here. It's quite a lot of information. I encourage you that if you think this is good, to listen to it again every, I don't know, 2 days of which you're actually training this. To re-solidify, you don't have to listen to the whole thing, but you can skip around, re-solidify the points that I'm trying to make. Yeah. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I encourage you to stick with it, because having good aim, really, it feels nice. Once you have good stage 1, once you can find the shots and hit them, that feels good. If you have good execution, you're still missing, that also feels bad. But you know, it's just more experience, and then you can hit the shots, and that feels great. And I've hit some really good shots on a lot of good players, and it's fantastic. Anyway, I should. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? No. That's it. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and I'll catch you later.